Well, thanks for doing this. I know that you didn't it wasn't like your intention to like chat with me, but I kind of was like, all right, we got to do this because your email just really was touching, and so I thought, like, why not? Why not just get on here and chat and
Oh,
yeah, do this. So thank you for saying yes.
well, thank you for asking. I was so kind of blown away. Like, yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to Molly. It'd be awesome. So,
Fabulous. Well, I think that it's really good for I don't know, like Clean Food Dirty Girl feels like so much like a community to me, and it's wild because like all over the world. But I think doing these talks makes it even feel like more of a community because we get to meet each other and our community gets to see other community members. And so I think it's a really sweet thing to do. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Why don't we just start? Just tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background and what prompted you to start eating plants, basically.
Yeah. So, well, I'm working from home and I do small business lending. And so I kind of feel connected to you guys because you are a small business, right? So my heart goes out to all the small businesses in our community. And I've been working from home, for a year and a half or so. And I would say over the years, I slowly transitioned to becoming whole food plant based very slowly. So I was so fortunate to grow up in a house that had a very large yard, and my dad was a master gardener. And so we would often eat our whole meal from our garden. And this was like in the 70s, right? A long time ago. So I think it was a unique and unusual situation for that time. And then, I got into my 20s and 30s and I kind of ate whatever I wanted, but I always tried to eat generally, like not very processed foods, right? I always
Mhm.
tried to not eat too many processed foods. And just, I don't know, as time went on, I read about so many different lifestyles and macrobiotic and raw and vegetarian and vegan and everything. And I had this idea that there was this like one lifestyle that was like the lifestyle that was, the healthiest way to eat. And I was on the
Mm.
search for it. And so
Interesting.
as I was going through, my life and reading and learning and educating myself, I slowly started letting go of different foods, like I let go of processed foods and I let go of chicken, right? And I let go of, all these different things. And then I just wanted to learn more about vegan cooking. And so I actually took the Forks Over Knives course. It's like a 3-month course, and it was
Mhm.
great. And then I learned how to cook without oil. And then I started learning about the effects of oil and cheese and eggs and all of that. And at that time, I had been eating poultry and salmon and eggs and cheese, but not overindulgent. I ate mostly whole foods, but I would eat those additional items. And then, actually, before the Forks Over Knives course, I wanted to watch that movie, the Forks Over Knives movie. And so I asked my boyfriend, hey, will you watch this movie with me? Because I want to understand their philosophy. And so we watched that movie. And after that movie, my boyfriend was like, I'm in. I think we should go whole food plant based. I'm totally sold. And I was always the really healthy one. And he was more like the one that was kind of coming along with me. But he was the one that led the course in us becoming whole food plant based. So we did. So we went whole food plant based January 1st of 2019. So it's been about 2.5 years now that we've really been fully whole food plant based. And and then I joined a bunch of different Facebook groups like food related, whole food related Facebook groups. And it seemed like people were kind of mean, like people would thrash each other if anyone said anything about eating an egg or stuff like that. And one time I remember I made a comment like, gosh, people sort of treat these Facebook groups like you're in your car and you can flip someone off and there's no accountability for it. And then someone commented on my post and they said, "Oh, if you want to find a really supportive group, you should go to Clean Food Dirty Girl." And so I'm like, "Well, I'm going to check them out." And so I found you guys on Facebook and I joined the group.
Mm,
So that's how I got
mhm.
to your group, because someone was like, "Hey, there, that's where the nice people are." And I'm like, "Well, I'm nice. I want to be around, supportive people." And and so then I was in, your Facebook group for a number of months, and I heard about the meals, and I kind of watched people post about all the meals and everything. And honestly, I was sort of like, gosh, for the cost, I mean, I could buy a bunch of cookbooks. Is there really value in these meal plans? And so I resisted and resisted. And again, I went to my boyfriend and I was like, I hear about these meal plans and people talk about how great they are. And I was thinking about doing it. Do you think I should do it? And he was supportive and said, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's going to break the bank. Just try it. So I decided to do it for 3 months. And so I subscribed to your meal plan. And seriously, every week, I mean, I haven't missed a week of making the meals. And
Awesome.
I mean, the food is out of this world. Like going to every night when we sit down to eat, we're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a gourmet vegan restaurant. I mean, the recipes are just at such a higher caliber than anything else that I've found. And I've looked at a lot of different sources, a lot. So
Mhm.
I'm a fan. I know I answered a lot.
No, that's awesome. I love it. I love hearing the backstory and kind of how it came to be. And I loved so we'll get to all of this, but I think, I've talked to so many people and I hear this from like a lot of people do have your same background. Like, okay, I wasn't eating like McDonald's. I wasn't going through the drive-through. I wasn't eating, junk food all the time, but it's almost like they were eating what they thought to be the healthy version of the standard American diet, right? And I think that a lot of people come to us kind of with that, kind of staying away from carbs and eating like maybe chicken or fish and not doing like the pork so much. And then, and then the more they learn about this, the more they realize like, oh, it's not actually like doing my body any good to be eating the healthier version of the standard American diet. So I've heard that a lot. And so yeah, you sound like a lot of people that I've talked to, and who really are wanting to eat more whole foods, but just didn't really know that
Yeah,
you could actually
exactly.
cut out all of the meat and the dairy, and then it's like actually so much easier, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I always thought that and all my friends thought I was the healthy one. Like I was always the one in the group where, oh, she is the healthy eater, but still I ate salmon and I cooked with lots of olive oil and I'd eat scrambled eggs and all of those things. And I didn't really know what those things were doing to my body.
Mhm,
And actually, I'm not like overweight or anything, but still I have high cholesterol.
mhm.
And I'm like, why do I have high cholesterol? I'm fit. I exercise so much. I'm at a, weight that's good for my body. And then I started to learn about like this hereditary high cholesterol. And then also, what oils and cheese and eggs and fish do to your body. And so my cholesterol was 260 when I went whole food plant based. And my weight was pretty much the same as it is now. It's not like I really lost, I lost a few pounds, but not much.
Yeah.
And my cholesterol is still high. It's at about 210,
Mhm,
but it went down by 50 points just by going whole food plant based
mhm.
without all the oils and everything. And so, I mean, I do think that hereditarily, like, I didn't believe it. I did not believe that there was such thing as hereditary cholesterol. I thought it was hereditary eating habits. And
Mhm.
people, pretended like it was from, their genes, but it was actually just from, they eat the way their parents did. But I do believe that some people, have a higher cholesterol. I think there's a word for it. I don't remember what it is. But I also believe that you can control it a lot. I mean, I feel that I have.
Yeah.
Um, so I think
Yeah,
I'm
I
good at that.
was just talking with somebody yesterday for another blog chat, and she had the same thing. I mean like not overweight, just and ate fairly, like on the healthier spectrum of the standard American diet, went whole food plant-based. I think she lost like 10 pounds or something. That was kind of unexpected because she wasn't really trying to lose weight, and her cholesterol did go down some, but it was like her mom and dad both were the same, like not really overweight and had really high cholesterol. So, I've definitely heard that. And I think, there's a there yeah, it's tricky because so much of what I've seen, there's a lot of unnecessary hardship on the body that can be really assisted through plants. And then there is really just like the genetic stuff that we're dealt that we have to work with, right? So I
Yeah.
don't think that it's one way, like totally one way or the other. And I think bringing that around to like in the beginning when you were sort of like searching for like the perfect way to eat. And I think a lot of people go through those stages too. Like, is it kind of like a paleo diet, or is it like, the whole 30, or is it intermittent fasting? So where have you kind of like landed? Like as you were going through that process and found this, do you feel like it's been sort of just like a more natural evolution to just something that your body really enjoys and it's less about like finding the perfect way to eat?
Well, I feel like it's the perfect way to eat for me. I
Mhm.
think different people might be different, but for me, I feel like eating a whole food plant based diet is the perfect way. And I mean, I eat my oatmeal every day with walnuts and flax. I eat my giant head sized salad every day for lunch.
Yes.
And then I know, like, huge. My boyfriend's like, I wouldn't even eat that much salad in 2 weeks. I mean, it's giant.
I
And
hear
then
you.
we eat,
I hear you.
yeah,
Me
right.
too. My salad bowl is insane.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best,
And
right? But
then
it's so much fun to eat. Like I love eating this way because I love to eat. And so I love eating big meals. So a big, big salad with like just tons of veggies and like beans and sauerkraut and baked
yeah,
tofu. Like it's the best, and like because eating is so much like I don't know, I find great joy in eating. And when you're eating
I
like this,
am,
it's
me
like bring it
too.
on.
Yeah, and a salad, you have to chew it a lot, so it takes a long time to eat, so there's, like, a lot of joy there. I like
Yeah.
to chop my salad up really, really small and eat it with a spoon,
I
like
do
a
too.
tablespoon
I do
instead of
too.
a fork, yeah.
I don't know, the fork thing just doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe if there's, like, just big pieces of lettuce, but when you put a bunch of, like, veggies, like, I
Yeah,
love to put, like, just chopped up, like, snow peas and, like, chopped carrots and chopped bell pepper. Once you do all of that, like, it makes so much more sense to eat it with a spoon, so
yeah,
totally with you on
exactly.
that.
Because it's all small. I like to take corn on the cob and cut it off the
Mhm.
cob raw and then put that in, and it's like a sweet little juicy crunch. Oh, it's so good.
It's so amazing, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I hear, and to a certain extent, me too. I mean, I've never eaten meat, but when I switched to a whole food plant based diet, my world of food definitely opened up because all of a sudden, when I was going to the grocery store, like I realized how many things I would just walk past, like in the produce aisle, and I was really sticking to the same like 7 veggies, right, and a handful of fruit before I started really focusing on whole plant foods. And when I started eating this way, it was like, wow, there's so many other things that I didn't even realize. And so now it's like the options, it's like so abundant. I don't know if you
Yeah,
experience that.
bananas. I feel the same, and also because of the meal subscription, I feel like there's all these unique, things that are called for in the recipes that I wouldn't necessarily have used,
Mhm.
and I'll go and get them and try them out, and so it's kind of a way to broaden, the vegetables and different things that I use.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I feel I follow our meal plans and I feel the same way. I'm like, man, I would have never like picked this up this week and put it together in this way if I wasn't following the meal plan. So super fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
also, I'm blown away at some of the, like, the brunch with the little sausages
Mhm.
last week. I
Mhm.
mean, I had my mom who's 96, my sister and her husband, and then my boyfriend and
Sweet.
I. And yeah, and the sausages were the hit. And I mean, everyone loved the sausages, and they were like, I can't believe it's not really a sausage. I
Yeah.
mean, we're amazed that we're always like, what is the magic that these dirty girls put together in the kitchen to come up with these flavor combinations to make them taste so real, like whatever the thing is that they're,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's crazy to me. They're so
Yeah.
good.
Well, thank you for that. And I mean, I really can't take credit for most of it because Jen and Tammy are really our recipe wizards. And it's funny because when I was able to, because like when we started this business, Luann and I started it, and it was the two of us, and we did everything. And so I did the meal plans and the recipes and the the Saturday emails and the blogs and just like every
It's a
little
lot.
bit. It was a lot. And then, so when it was time to, when we were finally had like enough subscribers so that we could afford to hire somebody, my thought, and I told this story before, but it's like my intention was to hire somebody who is better at me than making recipes. And so, and that's what I did. Like Tammy and Jen, I don't know. I mean, we're just so lucky to have them because they seriously are wizards. And I have to say that they absolutely love what they do. Love it. And
Mm,
you can
I
tell in their
bet.
recipes. Like it comes through when you're eating their recipes. So I'm super
Uh,
stoked that you and your family have really enjoyed them. I mean, it makes such a big difference in like the longevity of eating this way. If it's delicious and
yeah.
tasty and you don't get bored, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I
Yeah.
mean, we get excited. I feel like every Friday is like my birthday because we get the little recipes, and then my boyfriend and I look through the recipes, and I do all the cooking, but I want him to
Mm.
be involved. And so we'll look through the recipes and he'll pick out, the ones that look like his favorites so that, if I'm not going to make everything, then, I'll make whatever he thought looked the best because
Yeah.
I like everything, I like all the recipes.
Yes. Yeah. You and I are very have a lot in common. That's the same thing that I do too. So before you found Clean Food Dirty Girl and you kind of like you watched Forks Over Knives and you were deciding, okay, this is something that I want to do. Like, how was your like what kind of recipes were you following? What were you cooking? Did you find the transition to this way of cooking? I mean, you took the cooking class, right? The Forks Over
Yeah.
Knives cooking class. Was there anything else that like helped you when you transition to cooking this way because isn't complicated but it is different than what most people are used to.
Well, I think for me, the biggest thing was cooking without oil. And it was inconceivable to me how you can cook without oil because every single day I would just pour that olive oil on everything, anything you saute, I mean, everything. And
Yeah.
so that was the biggest thing. And it was mind opening to realize that you can saute dry in a good pan. I mean, I think that's the key. You have to have good pans and you can just saute something up and it'll caramelize, it'll brown. I mean, it'll work. So that was the biggest thing. Other than that, I mean, with the Dirty Girl recipes, there are a lot of ingredients. So that was, a little bit of getting used to like how can I make this efficiently with all of these ingredients as opposed to like 5 spices, there's 15 spices.
Yeah, we
But
love our
other than
spices.
that, I mean, the oil, a lot, yeah. But that's what makes it so good. But before the Dirty Girls, I mean, I was using, recipes that I would find online. There's so many resources now. There's a lot of
Yeah.
resources. That was why I was kind of like, gosh, do I really need to subscribe to this meal plan when there are so many resources out there that are free? I just get all these free resources. And the food I made was good, but it wasn't great. It was super healthy and it was all food plant based and it was fine, but it wasn't like, oh my God, we're eating in a gourmet vegan restaurant every single night. So it's hard to go back,
Yes.
it's hard
Yeah.
to, and now whenever, I have friends that eat this way and they'll send me a recipe and I'm always like, oh, I'm not really interested. I mean, I don't tell them that, but
You're
inside
like,
I'm
it's a
thinking,
no. It's a no. We're
it's
not
never
gonna do
going to
that.
be as good.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
So,
And it's also really nice to have a plan, like to have something planned out for you so that you don't have to do that part. Cause, like you're busy. I know people are busy. It's like
yeah.
having that plan, I think is so helpful because it's one less thing you have to think about.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that I don't have to make any decisions other than
Yes.
which
Yes.
recipes am I going to make, right? And honestly, I mean, I am a meal plan subscriber for like the meal plans, not just the recipes, right? But I've never batched ever in all of these months that I've been doing it. All I do is go through, pick out the recipes that look good to me and make the ones that I want to make. And I don't make all of them. I usually make 3 a week and we'll have each thing 2 nights, right? So
Yeah.
it still like covers the week and that works for me. And I am by nature really efficient. Like I'm super efficient. I get all my spices out, I line them up. I've got like my little process and everything down. And so I feel like I don't need the like organizational part of the meal plan because I'm already kind of organized. But I just need the recipes. I
Hmm.
would never in my life be able to come up with those kind of recipes. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we have a lot lot of people who just like don't like to batch cook and they just follow the recipes and just go into the recipe vault or just choose a couple recipes from the meal plans and cook them as is. And it's like there's really no wrong or right way to do it. So it's perfect. I mean that you're able to use the the classroom to fit like your life and your needs.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on like so when the pandemic hit and everybody was home, tell me like how eating this way and cooking and knowing how to cook in your kitchen, how do you think how did that affect your overall like experience of 2020, do you think? Like was that a
Yeah.
grounding thing for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because I did lose weight when the pandemic started. You know, people all talk about like the COVID 10 or whatever, like the 10 pounds they
Yeah.
gained. I lost 10 pounds because I used to sit in my office and like eat almonds. That was my little treat that I would eat all the time, my snack. And then when I came home and started working, I just stopped eating the almonds and I started losing all this weight. It was funny. But yeah, so I do business lending. That's my job. I manage a team of salespeople, and we make loans to small businesses. And we're a nonprofit, mission driven, trying to make a difference in our world. And so we were really busy. We did the PPP loans, we did a lot of
Mhm.
emergency loans, and there was just a lot of desperate need out there. And it was very sad. And we were all working long hours and weekends and nights, and it was just a lot. And so the months were going by, and after a while, you kind of start to get down. You know, you're not seeing your friends, and you're not going to parties, and you're not going out to even stores. And so just staying home all the time and just having a limited amount of activities that I was doing. And it was in, I think, October or November of 2020 when I subscribed to the Dirty Girl recipes. And that made such a difference in my life because it made me have something that I look forward to each week. You know, like I get so
Mhm.
excited to get the recipes and make them and, you know, plan and come up with what I wanted to do. So that was really helpful. I, we did go whole food plant based well before the pandemic, like over a year before. So we had already been, eating this way when the pandemic hit. But I did feel like, wow, I am taking care of my body so much that hopefully if I never got COVID, I'm so lucky, but if I were to have gotten it, hopefully my body's so strong and healthy that it will fight it off.
Mhm.
um, you know but I
Yeah.
mean, I never even went outside the house hardly to get anything.
Yeah, same. Yeah, for me too. And I think, there's something that you like for me, I love that I know how to cook because it's like it's a life skill, right? And when the
Yeah.
pandemic hit, I had never have that. I had never had that kind of. I don't know. I was like, man, I'm so glad I know how to cook. Like because we're not going out to eat. The restaurants closed.
Yeah.
Like I had
Yeah.
never been so happy to know how to cook healthy meals for myself. So
Yeah.
it
I
was a
know.
reminder of like what an important skill that is to have.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but I did know a lot of people where they were like, I don't know what to do because we're so used to going out to dinner every night, quick grab something at, a local place. And I was like, well, that hasn't really changed for me. I already cooked most days anyways. So that
Yeah.
was kind of the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, such a yeah, it helps. It helps. And it's such a wonderful yeah, it just brings me so much joy and I love talking to other people who also is like finding this way of eating really joyful. It's just fun. I mean, food is just fantastic. Plant-based food is just, everything about it is so good.
Yeah, that's so funny because I have a few friends where whenever we get together, we'll talk about different things, but we always end by talking about food, and we just love talking about food and like what are you making and what are you combining, and I know I love talking about food too. I'm a total food dork.
Yeah, yeah, I am too. And I think that there's some people who have this idea that if they're a foodie, like they definitely would not be able to eat this way. And and again it goes
Mm,
back to like I I I just don't think that's true. I definitely consider myself a foodie and like on all of our travels, every place I've ever been in the world, like I enjoy traveling, I enjoy eating and having this way of eating hasn't changed any of it. if anything, it's kind of like expanded my appreciation for food and ingredients, and
Yeah.
paying attention to like spices, for example. Because I know, like, when I used to cook like vegan or vegetarian, like I never used my spices. There were spices and they just sat there and sat there and sat there. And when you cook whole food, I mean, especially our recipes, like you hit on, we do not hold back with the spices, and it's so satisfying to use all my spices that are in my kitchen. It's so much fun.
Oh, yeah, and I love the combination of, like, smoked paprika and tahini and miso and apple cider vinegar, like, all these things. I'm like, "How did someone come up with putting all these things together and it tastes good?" You know?
Or like the
Yeah.
eighth of a teaspoon of like what thyme is gonna, that's what it needs. And it's like an eighth of a teaspoon, really. And I always taste it. I'm like, okay, I'm tasting this, and then I'm gonna add the eighth of a teaspoon and see if it's any yummier. I'm like, it is. It's even better. How do they know?
Yeah, I know, or, like, 1 drop of liquid smoke. I'm like, "1
Yes.
drop? Is that
One
gonna
drop
even
is
do?"
all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I feel like even though I own the business, I am always like, I just love our business. And if I didn't own it, I would be just as excited about the meal plans, and just as in awe of like Tammy and Jen for the just for the love that they put into it. And so it makes me so happy to talk to our subscribers, to be able to like, feel that love and experience their joy. And so it means the world to me. And I think they're going to get a big kick out of watching this too, because, they always love to hear this, and they're in their own little like bubble in their own kitchen, like just doing their little magic. And so it's a good reminder. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you.
that's great. I love that you're almost like a subscriber in that look at the recipes, you pick up what you want, you batch. I mean, you do all the same things that we do.
I
So
do.
you can really relate to what it's like to get those recipes and, make the decision as to how you want to use them and everything.
Totally. I'm doing it just with everybody else. I asked Luann, okay, here's this week's menu. What sounds good? If there's stuff that doesn't sound good to her, then I just make a smaller portion for myself. Like, I'm doing it right along with you. So I get it.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, totally with you on that. But yeah, and
yeah.
the other thing is like, I don't know, if I wasn't using our meal plans or finding them helpful or delicious, then I have no business owning the business either. So,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know.
Yeah, you can kind of see what the product is, right? You're testing the product every week.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you so much for talking with me. I had a really nice time touching
Thank
base
you,
and getting to
Molly.
know you a little bit. So much
Thank
fun.
you. It's so nice, such an honor to talk to you. I'm really pleased. Thank you for asking me. I really
Yes.
appreciate
Yeah. And tell
it.
your boyfriend, right? You're not married. He's your boyfriend.
Correct.
Tell your boyfriend hello.
Okay, I will.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Susan.
Bye.
Bye.